Well, I think the first thing I'd like to say about the Lodge and what it's going to bring to our community is it allows us to receive our customers at a level that they would otherwise expect in the States. People don't often realize that this installation particularly was built in 1910. A lot of the facilities we've been using thus far actually stem from that period of time. They've just been renovated over the years. And while we've done a really good job of upkeeping those, it's not been easy on our customers when they've been scattered amongst a variety of buildings and always having to come back to a central building to do any kinds of transactions. This way we bring our customer into this century, and we also were able to consolidate our service and our efforts, our customer service efforts, to them in the facility. It creates a tremendous amount of synergy for us, but it also greatly improves our ability to deliver on customer service. And our families come to us, oftentimes they get off the S-bus, they've had a long ride, it's oftentimes not been a very pleasant ride, and they arrive here, and what we want that very first experience to be is a positive one, a favorable one. We want them to walk through the door and think, wow, I maybe was a little nervous about coming to Germany, never heard of Grafenwoehr before, but if this is what it's going to be like here, this is not bad, this is really good. And that's what we're getting with this particular lodge. Well, as the Director of Family Morale and Welfare and Recreation, I can tell you that my work's not yet done. EBG, a lot of people think that chapter's been closed. But there is an ongoing effort here, and one of my bigger projects that the Corps of Engineers is working with us on is an outdoor recreation facility. But we've done other minor things. We've done some work in our Performing Arts Center. We've done some work in our libraries. We've introduced Java cafes into our community. We've done a lot of work, but we have some stuff that we're still working on. We just broke ground not too long ago on our outdoor recreation complex. I'll take the opportunity now to speak to that. It's another one of those projects that when we looked at what we wanted to do the installation, we took a look at what our customers are doing. And our soldiers and our families basically been on a constant state of deployment for 10 years. We know there are a lot of lessons learned that have come from downrange. We know our soldiers come back, and it's difficult to come out of a red zone where there's a high state of alertness, there's a lot of pressure, and to decompress. We bring them back into our communities, and we've been working with a program called War Adventure Quest to help them do that, but it always requires us taking them off the installation, go somewhere else, introduce them to a new skill set, introduce them to a high adventure, low risk activity, but then they came back to the installation and they didn't have the ability to practice that or participate in that locally. And we wanted to get at that. We wanted to bring some of those services to our installation, so once we've introduced the soldier to the skill set, it's readily available and easy accessible to them. And then we took it a step further and we looked at our family members, because the soldiers, out front, they're in the fight, but our families are back here supporting those soldiers. And they deal with a similar skill set or stress set in that they don't have the outlets oftentimes. They're oftentimes in a foreign country for the first time. Many of them are very new to the military. This is their very first overseas experience. There's a whole lot that they're dealing with at one time. And we needed to give them an opportunity to work off some of that anxiety, work through some of that stress, to find positive ways to engage themselves. And we needed to do it on the installation, not off the installation, because you got the logistics challenge of trying to always move people around. And it's not easy. And the easier you make it, the more likely they are to participate. And so we combine those concepts into our single outdoor rec project, and we've had a lot of great cooperation with the people working with us to help us actually realize that particular vision. Because while not absolutely new and unique to the Army's plan, we put an emphasis on families too when we went to that project, and oftentimes the focus remains with the soldier. And so for us, it's pretty unique. We have an indoor, very technical rock climbing wall, not one of these things you see in the gym where you practice on. This is actually put your skills to the test. We have a ropes course, high and low ropes, and if you've seen those, they're typically used for team building events. They put you very high in the air. You have to cross various ropes and poles and barriers and boundaries. For some people it can be very, very challenging. We have camping. We'll have some cabins out there. We'll actually have camp grounds where you can bring your tent if you want to set up a tent. Of course, all of the amenities that go with that. A snack bar is planned for there. We do a lot of training and education programs. We'll bring that to that facility. We have a very lovely area that will allow for any number of long games, everything from soccer to lawn darts. We have water, so it's very pretty for the water, so our fishing program, people can participate in that. They can boat on our lake. The kids will have a number of playgrounds will be available to them, and we've integrated some of the low ropes technology into our children's area, so they'll see the adults participating in an event and they'll have a similar activity that they can participate at their own level. So we're looking forward to that. I can tell you there's no better place to live than right here at Grafenwoehr, and a lot of that has to do with the relationships. I would tell you that the relationship that I have with the Corps, of course, as a part of the Garrison structure, the Garrison Command and the leadership have always been very, very supportive of our, our pursuit of these projects. The Corps of Engineers, and really we're capitalizing too, and we talked about that EBG, that very unique relationship that we saw basically, I think, for the first time actually come together with the EBG project where the Corps of Engineers, the BAU Arm, everyone came together in a single facility. And actually said, the smart way to do this is if we're close at hand, we don't have phone calling, we don't have the distance of traveling 20, 30, 40 kilometers. We come together, they get that efficiency, and you also get the relationships. And people get to know each other, and there's a cooperation, and they learn to work with each other very, very well. That has been absolutely invaluable. People, you know them. I know the people. When I go into a meeting, I recognize the people in the room. I don't always just see them at the meetings, but I see them in the community. They're out and about, they're at other meetings. That's very important. I think their understanding, and they're working so closely, and being on the installation, I also think is a critical element, because people don't truly appreciate the nature of the business we're in when they're on the outside. It's easy to look at a proposal and say, well, yeah, as an architect I could design that, or as an engineer I could build that. But do you know the customer? Do you understand the environment that we're in, and what we're trying to do, why we're trying to accomplish it, and why a certain feature might be critical? You may not appreciate it if you've never made that experience. And so having the folks out there in the cell, as we referred to it, the EBG cell, I think, and you'd have to talk to them, but I would think they would tell you the same thing. They learn so much just by the exposure, being close at hand, and then working together on a day-to-day and not just on an occasional basis as the project demanded, that we have benefited from that. And you also learn through experience. You figure out when you've worked one project together, it gets easier to work the next one and the next one and the next one. And so, all of them, you want to go up and hug them. But I've seen it with our projects. They continue to work with us on projects, and I would encourage anyone who is pursuing projects anywhere where they got the Corps, Bauhamt, and others, you need to bring them together. It absolutely worked for us. I'm sure you're going to hear that over and over and over again, but very definitely there is goodness in that. And if you even want to look at the bottom line, I think ultimately there's efficiency in that, and we benefit from it. EBG, big project, there was a lot of focus, there remains a lot of focus on that, and as that sort of becomes history for us, this is our new norm, these are our new facilities, I would point out that even beyond what is typically defined or captured under EBG, that this garrison particularly, and from the Army leadership all the way down, has been very supportive of other projects, transformation projects, and so we continue to see a concerted effort and reinvestment in this community. People continue to support us, and my goal as DFMWR is to ensure that we bring the best quality service that we can to our customers. I advocate for that and go after that, and there's still some things we like to do. We always have a plan. We always have that hip pocket plan. If somebody brings out some money and says, if you had X number of dollars, what would you do with it? We always have an answer ready for that. But there's a lot goes on. Rose Barracks, we've got a lot of projects that have been undertaken there, some more work to be done over there, and the stuff here. So, you may not see it in your time here, the 3 years you might be assigned here, but if you come back to Grafenwoehr, like many people who are now returning post-EBG and said, wow, where did all this come from? We're going to continue with that for the next few years as we realize some more projects here, and people returning after a 3 or 5 year hiatus being somewhere else will come back and say, wow, where did this come from? So good work.